People complain that missionary position is boring and unoriginal, but if it gets the job done, is it really that bad? Boys, and not just boys. Also, our queen, Mary, she who prevents us from being 100% male audience. Be nice to her in the comments and listen to everything she says. That is the rules. We have another bodybuilding kind of prep day where it's not really a powerlifting movement, but also it's prepping us for powerlifting. It's almost like stretching under a load. It's almost like stretching under a load, like I've been saying that accessory movements have been this entire time. So this accessory day must be the pinnacle of all stretching under a load days. Oh my goodness. But we've got our eggs with beef cooking up. We've got our Zelda dog taking a nap. And I thought I had more to say, but I don't. So I'll see you guys when I'm eating. If you've got that dog in you and you know it, clap your hands. Clap. Okay. But we've got our bowl. We got our eggs with some ketchup. We've got some gagging going on because it smells awful. I don't know if the eggs were bad or if the beef is just too old. We also have, this is carbs. We're supposed to have a bagel with honey with this meal. But I figured I'm kind of tired of chewing at this point, so we got our carbs in liquid form. It's I don't know what it's raw brand. Let me actually show you guys. It's orange flavored, so it tastes just like Tang. So I'm not sure if I just overpaid for Tang, but it's raw fuel. Oh, it's got 300 milligrams of sodium too. 24 grams of carbs. It's a glucose, fructose, sea salt, and sodium citrate. So hydration, endurance, performance, whatever. So we're kind of leaning into liquid calories rather than solid calories because two reasons. It's summer. Summer means that you're going to be hydrated. You're going to get dehydrated easier. It's going to be harder for you to stay hydrated because it's hot outside. The sun's outside. And outside is awful. So, liquid calories, we're going to get in about 24 ounces of liquids, water. Since it's a hydration blend, we're also getting more hydration going on there. So we'll be better prepared for training. And then also carbs. We're supposed to be having carbs, so we're replacing a carb source with this. It's not like we're taking a Coke and being like, oh my goodness, I've got a justified reason to be drinking Coca-Cola. No, it actually serves a purpose outside of my mouth is bored. My mouth is lonely and I need something in there to accompany my tongue inside of my mouth. That happens to taste good because food is fuel, not entertainment. So boys, also third reason, which I originally thought was reason one, and then I spoke to you guys and ADHD tangent. It's not satiation, but it creates a desire of consumption of food is when something tastes good. That's the way things work. This tastes like Tang. If you ever had Tang, back in the 90s, it tastes just like that. It's orange flavored. It's Sunny D, but better. Don't at me on that. Do at me on that. I want to know what you think. What was your childhood drink that would just mysteriously appear in a pitcher in your fridge and you'd be like, I'm all about that. But when you're eating something and you don't want to eat it, throw in something that makes you kind of salivate. So if you're eating just a plain, it's like, would you eat a patty of hamburger? No, but you throw in some barbecue sauce, makes it way easier to eat. I mean, it adds calories, but if you're bulking, that's what you want. You just got to make sure that the calories are in check. Hafthor Bjornsson struggles with eating 500 grams of rice every meal, so he throws in some dextrose to get a little extra sweetness in his rice, makes it a little bit more salivating. He salivates more, which makes his body more readily available to consume the calories that he needs. So this is going to be like my dextrose on my rice. And okay, Zala has decided that my role and purpose in life is to pet her. She's a good girl, though. She's a good girl. Anyways, my food's getting cold. I don't want to eat it. I already had a coffee this morning, and my belly's full from coffee, which means that I need this more than I want to admit. Anyways, I'll see you guys with my buddy walk. It is time for our daily little buddy, little guy, buddy. Okay, he's feeling a little antisocial today. It is our buddy walk time. You know what that means? Senseless rambling from me. So today we have our goals set out. We're off to a bit of a late start. We had to, before we even started our day, getting our food prepped and everything, we had to help the other human get their car to the shop, which we should have done like 2 months ago, but didn't start. Hey, leave it. Anyways, so that's where I got my coffee this morning. Is right across the street there was a Dunkin', and if you know anything about Dunkin' in New England, you see one and it's anywhere close within a mile of your destination, you're stopping, which is a catch-22, because every mile there's at least 1 to 4 Dunkins. Anyone from New England, please confirm that in the comments. But we I have a theory about Dunkin', because I was talking with my coach and nutritionist, because my coach likes Dutch Brothers coffee. My coach likes Dutch Brothers coffee, which I don't know if that's like Las Vegas specific, because I've never seen Dutch Brothers before in my life until I visited them in Vegas. And a lot of people really like Starbucks. And I've got a theory. Why Dunkin', which is, let's be honest, Dunkin' coffee isn't the greatest. And half of being someone who goes to Dunkin' is knowing which Dunkin' makes your coffee right and which ones don't, and just avoiding the ones that don't make your coffee right, which sucks, because the Dunkin' that doesn't make my coffee right also happens to be the Dunkin' that's closest to where I live. Woe is me. But I've got this theory, right? So one of the worst things that can happen to you is you peaked in high school. And that's my biggest fear in life, is that I peaked at some point. It's gonna happen eventually, but you don't want to see the peak before you're already over it. Or you want to be able to kind of relish being in the peak. New England peaked in the Revolutionary War, and ever since, it's been riding off that high of, hey, we're the birthplace of America. Which is kind of odd, because isn't the birthplace of America in Philadelphia? It just happens that Plymouth Rock is in Mass, and yeah, they've been living off that high ever since. So they didn't do really much of anything in terms of infrastructure, job development, and pretty much anything other than having the best schools in the nation in Cambridge, like MIT, Cambridge, and a bunch of schools like that. Buddy, sit. Good boy. Yo. So, New England has a high cost of living because it's historical, but the average wage isn't that much higher than anywhere else. So, we peaked in high school. We've got high cost, low salary, I guess, low means of paying. So we have to make do with what we can afford, which is Dunkin', which is like half the price of Starbucks. And it's kind of when you bring in the number 2 coffee in the nation, not nation, but New England, the fact that it's Cumberland Farms, it's really telling that that theory is more likely than not to be factual. New England peaked in high school, and it's been living off that high ever since. Anyways, I want to listen to my audiobook because I'm an audiobook addict and I need my fix. And makes these walks a little more enjoyable. And also mouth breathing while talking dehydrates you. And it's mid 80s out, so you can see my cheeks are a little rosy from just being in the sun. Sit. Yep. This is actually the tannest, darkest, whateverest I've ever been. Because normally I go straight to purple. I haven't spent any time on beaches this summer, this springtime, but I've taken Buddy on a walk 30 to 45 minutes every single day, getting that sun, getting that vitamin D. And I don't make paper look tan anymore. So anyways, I'm listening to, I don't know what book number it is, but I'm listening to The Wandering Inn. So I'm diving back in and listening. Pre-training meal underfoot, we've got about 200 grams of Fruity Pebbles with 16 ounces of fat-free Fairlife milk. It's hot, or not, the cereal's not hot, it's hot outside, so I'm a little schwitty. A little uncomfortable, and Buddy is a happy guy. He likes the heat. He's just a sweaty little guy. He sweats a lot while he sleeps, so he's a little stinky boy. Hey, Bud, come here. Look at that guy. Look at his face. Hey, okay. He didn't want to show you his face. He's a little private today, but got this pre-training meal. We're gonna have a protein shake. I'll give you a little details about that once I get to it. And my belly isn't completely. I'm not completely digested from the meal earlier, but it is what it is. We gotta bite the pillow. We're going in raw. So we just recently finished off our tub of cookies and cream GNC brand 100% whey. And I went to Vitamin Shop because, the one GNC that was curbside near me shut down, and the only one that's also close by is in the mall, and I'd rather Sharpie the tip of my pee-pee than go inside of a mall. So I went to the Vitamin Shop because it's curbside. I could just park in the walk lot and walk straight into the store. And I was looking at their protein. I usually get the generic store brand protein. GNC's store brand protein tastes better than Vitamin Shop's store brand protein, so it's a little easier to get down. But food is fuel, not entertainment. It just helps sometimes when it tastes a little better. But I always make sure to see what's on sale, because what's on sale is what's good for my wallet. And I noticed we got Syntha 6, and you got that sale tag right there saying Syntha 6 is on sale, and it was for cheaper than the Vitamin Shop store brand. Now, if you've been around the block for a hot minute and you know anything about protein, you know that the consensus is that Syntha 6 is the best tasting protein. Sorry, my arm was getting tired, so I'm just propping my phone up on the fridge for a little bit. So, Syntha 6, best tasting protein. Which is weird because they've been around for so long, and I say for so long, I remember when they were new, so I'm dating myself a little bit, but it's the tastiest one. Why don't other companies make their protein as tasty as Syntha 6? And it's because Syntha 6 also has the highest cholesterol content in it. So when you get tasty things like protein, this is a tasty protein, you got to be cognizant of what is going on, what is also in there. If you look at the nutrition label, it's got the highest cholesterol content. And cholesterol, not all of it's bad, not all of it's good, but too much, you can have too much of a good thing. So it's a little high in that cholesterol. But if you're like me and you have a super structured nutrition plan and you've kind of gotten rid of other sources of bad cholesterol, we've still got eggs in there with good cholesterol, and we've still got beef and stuff like that, but we've cut out not seed oils, but like sources of oils and fats that are high in cholesterol, high in the bad cholesterol, which would raise the cholesterol, raise the not lipids, the plaque in your veins, and make it a little thicker, I guess lipids are in your vein, your blood as well. But I'm not a doctor or anything. This is just the I used to not own, but I used to run multiple GNCs, and this is basically what they taught us. There's my credentials there. So higher cholesterol, if as long as you mitigate and cut out other sources of higher cholesterol, it's fine to have a higher cholesterol, higher taste value in your protein. So I got about 50 grams of protein. Yes, I do now have 2 shaker cups. On my rest days, I've got a meal that is basically that drink that I had earlier, the orange, making sure I've got 70 grams of carb powder, and then I've got a protein shake, and my nutritionist was like, why don't you just mix them? And I'm like, girl, I've got orange flavored carb powder and vanilla, at the time it was cookies and cream flavored. No, at the time, because I bought the Syntha 6 as well as the carb powder at the same time. I had, what is it? Rainbow candy flavored, what is it actually? Yeah, rainbow candy, this is empty. Rainbow candy flavored carb powder and cookies and cream flavored protein powder. Those do not go together. But I'm thinking the orange flavored carb powder might go with the vanilla flavored protein. You mix those two up, what do you get? You get creamsicle. And if you ever followed Stan Efferding and his vertical diet, you would know he's a great advocate for mixing yogurt, vanilla flavored yogurt, with orange juice. It makes a creamsicle flavor. It's pretty good. I used to do that back at my heaviest. It's weird. I went on a diet and I gained a bunch of weight. That's why you don't do your own nutrition. You get someone who's actually credentialed to do nutrition, someone who's actually been on the block for a hot minute and is not biased by social media. So I got the vanilla ice cream flavor. And what does it taste like? It tastes like if chocolate milk was vanilla. So we're going from an aftertaste of cookies and cream, where it kind of just tasted like chemicals, to vanilla ice cream. Delicious. Gosh diddly darn it, that's delicious. Now the first tub of Syntha 6 I'd ever laid eyes on, I'm the youngest of 3. I've got 2 older brothers. My oldest brother was the gym rat who inspired me to get into the gym. My middle brother was the smart one. He's an electrical engineer, but he was also super into gaming and also kind of a troll in class and got good grades, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But actually I don't know what grades he got. I just know that mine were better than his. And I was the third. So as I grew up, my goal in life was to be stronger than my oldest brother and smarter than my middle brother. So my oldest brother went to school for business and he went into the army, so he's physically more fit than I am, but I bench his squat max. So, victory for me. My other brother is an electrical engineer, and he's an electrical engineer, and I got my degree in math. So it's like, I had a high GPA in high school too, so I kind of won that one too. But my oldest brother got a tub of the chocolate peanut butter Syntha 6. That is a sketchy flavor whenever you see chocolate peanut butter, because they're like, oh yeah, it tastes like a Reese's. Yeah. Syntha 6 actually made it taste like a Reese's. I never tried it. I'm just going by word of mouth because this is the first tub of Syntha 6 I've ever had. So it's delicious. That's all I have to say. And I'm going to be not in a good situation when I have to replace it, because I'm going to go back to regular whey protein, because I don't want to have that high cholesterol content in my protein for too long. Not that I take a lot of protein every day. This tub might last, what is it? It's 47 servings, 1 scoop. I take 4 scoops a day. It might last 2 weeks. That's how long it might last. If not, less time. So don't want to have that high inclusion of cholesterol for that long. But anyways, I'm gonna rinse the shaker cup out, be part of that one plate club, and then I also have to rinse out my food bowl, and then we'll be off to the gym, and I'll see you guys on the trip there. You know, one of the coolest things about powerlifting, specifically in this era of powerlifting, is watching how old school concepts and new school methods end up merging and combining. Because back in the day, really the only thing that people considered was stimulus to fatigue ratio. And the only part of that they considered was, I'm tired, I need a deload. And then cube method came along and they were like, okay, well, I don't have to deload all the time. I can deload one lift at a time. CNS fatigue, systemic fatigue, whatever. And now we're at a point where things are getting so hyper optimized that it's almost like you have to breed a perfect lifter in order to have a record to be safe, because so many different methods are out there are getting implemented. And right now, so your body can't tell the difference between physical, emotional, and mental stress. So if you are a road worker or landscaper, someone who's got a very physically intense job, it's very similar to someone who does, I don't want to say college students, because college students are kind of, if you aren't in college and you're not a high schooler who thinks college kids are super cool, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say college kids don't get it. But if you're someone who does like research, high mentally intensive stuff, you won't be physically tired, but you'll be mentally tired. And then there's those two different kind of variables going on. You've got the mental physical systemic fatigue, which your CNS is based off of systemic things. And then there's someone, if you are a victim of abuse, you've got a lot of emotional fatigue going on. And it could be just like doing a physically intense job affecting your CNS, because your body can't tell the difference between mental, emotional, and physical stress. And we're starting to recognize that, and a lot more lifters are having a healthier relationship with the outside world. It's not just an outward expression of how pissed off you are anymore. It's not, I don't want to say therapeutic, but people are taking more steps towards mental health in the sport of powerlifting because they're noticing how it affects their total. And then you've also got more recovery methods. You've got, like, you can almost Google recovery methods and see you've got ice plunges, which there's a lot of debates going on whether or not their efficacy is good. You've got needling, you've got cupping, you've got a lot of different ways to get stress. One of the methods I've used before is shower cycling, where you go from the coldest on your shower to the hottest on your shower, and you basically work and focus on your breathing and training yourself to be more in a more relaxed state. So we're kind of transitioning towards a more Far Eastern ninja style, which so many people claim that they're lions and tigers, and then you've got, oh, I'm a Viking, I'm in the gym, and then like you don't really look at, well, who's been the most efficient killers in history? Those are ninjas and samurais and stuff like that. And what methods were they using? They were using breathing techniques to slow down their heart rate so that they can be more precise and more ready to jump into action, and the different methods that they used in order to have a more relaxed method and approach towards going towards these things. So one of the things that I'm currently working on right now is that whole systemic stress. I've got a lot of stress in my life. I have to be better apt at dealing with that stress in order to function and progress the way and speed in which I would like to progress. The thing that I implemented earlier today about switching my carbs to a more liquid base to help me hydrate while doing so has me sitting at a point right now where I feel more physically ready in order to train. And it's almost 90 degrees outside, and I'm like, all right, I actually feel pretty good. This is a good sign. And it's more than just drinking more water. It's also I reduced my emotional stress by taking a lot more steps towards putting myself first. I myself am a people pleaser. So I stress myself out by bending over backwards, making sure that people step on my toes so I don't step on theirs. Things like that. And this past weekend, I started saying no. And the amount of emotional stress that I've relieved from myself by doing so is pretty epic. It feels good. And I know I haven't done all the steps that I need to do, because when you say, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, and you keep saying you don't write it down, you're juggling with your eyes closed. You don't know how many balls you have. You don't know how much you have. It's not until you put pen to paper, which I need to get myself a fountain pen because I have a texture issue when it comes to writing utensils, because I hate ballpoint pens, I hate gel pens, I hate felt tip pens. The only pens that I don't cringe when I use are fountain pens. A little fun fact about me. So I need a fountain pen, but Staples only had like $30 fountain pens, and I don't want to go to Walmart to get the 3-pack of $6 fountain pens. I mean, ideally, I'd get someone will, for my birthday coming up in August, someone will get me a fountain pen for like my birthday, you know. What was I saying? You don't really know what you're dealing with until you write it down. You're juggling with your eyes closed, and once you write things down, then you'll have a better grasp as to, all right, here are my stressors, here's everything that's going on, here are the steps that I need to do. It's more than just, hey, I'm making progress towards it, but are you really? Are you really making progress towards your goal? Or are you just kind of treading water? And treading water feels like making progress, but it really isn't. It's not until you write things down and you check things off of a list that you were like, okay, I'm actually making progress. I'm moving forwards. I'm checking boxes. I'm getting things off of my list. So that's what I need to do. I already have the notebook that I want to do that in. I have multiple notebooks. It seems like at my last job, anytime that I had like a new phase of something, I would start a new notebook because free notebooks at work. And I kind of continued that progression. I have a bunch of notebooks for different things. Like I have a client notebook. I've got notebook for this, notebook for that. And I even have a notebook in my car, but I don't have a fountain pen in my car, so I don't like to use it. Anyways, I just got here. I shut my windows, and immediately I'm sweating my ass off. So I'm going to start training. I don't want to lose this hydration that I got. I don't want to lose the initial kick from my pre-workout, the nectar that I take. It's called Nectar. It's from Better Through Biology, not sponsored, but it's bodybuilding day, upper body day. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's feel good. Let's do this stretching under a load stuff. Let's go. All right, little homies and little home lit. Just finished up with it's a bodybuilding recovery style day where we're focusing on managing the arousal states, which is the word that I was looking for that entire rant on the way into the gym, and completely forgot what it was, and I ended up using the state of excitement, which, I mean, I guess that's similar. If you're aroused, you are excited. So I guess they're synonymous with each other. But so the goal of this entire day is kind of like prep the rest of the week for the heavier lifting that we're going to be doing. Heavier lifting, heavier volume, and kind of manage the internal stressors and reacclimate ourselves after 2 days off over the weekend, reacclimate ourselves with how to like perform and function. So first movement of the day was the reverse grip lat pull down. Straps were on program, so we used the straps, and it's one of those movements where it's like I've never really done them before. It's basically curl up, so it's a bicep focused lat movement, and just because of the way that you've got the supination going on in the hands. And I've never done it before, so we're still in this phase of weeks where we're trying to figure out how to properly load it, because you don't want to overload, because it's supposed to be an RPE 7, and RPE is a catch-22, but if you have an RPE for a main compound movement, squat, bench, or deadlift, that you max out, it's BS. But you never max out your accessories, so RPE is applicable there. But I prefer to use reps in reserve, so an RPE 7 would be about 3 reps in reserve. So reverse grip, lat pull down, never max that out. Last week we noted that we needed to increase the load, and this week once again we noted that we had to increase the load. So going on that, it was a pretty easy, and it's difficult because we're trying to do a stretch under a load, so we're trying to get a pretty good stimulus where the majority, we're trying to feel that hypoxic response, feel the burn, feel the muscles gasping for oxygen, but also feel a good stretch. And I'm not feeling either of those, which means we need to go up in weight, or we need to slow it down, but we're going pretty slow as it is, so we need to go up in weight. Next movement we did was the head supported rear delt flies, supersetted with hex dumbbell push-ups, where you just take the dumbbells and you put them on the floor, and they're hexagon shaped, so they don't roll away. The setup I had today was a bit different than the setup I usually have, because the bench that I usually use was set up for incline bench in a monolift, which you don't curl in a squat rack, you don't do anything other than squats in a monolift, but I have also been known to do overhead press in a monolift. So I mean, seated overhead press. So it's monolift is one of those gym equipment that every gym needs, but it's almost like a holy ground where you don't want to do anything other than the intended movement in them. But sometimes if your gym doesn't have access to the equipment that you need to do other things, then it might not be that bad of an idea to use the monolift for it. Kind of like a squat rack. A lot of people do overhead press in them. Pretty much everything you do in a squat rack, do in a monolift, except a monolift is way better for squats. Anyways, the setup I had for that gave a pretty good stretch to the glutes and hamstrings, which I'm not mad about. And I was focusing on the stretch at the bottom, specifically with my left side, since I had a little bit of shoulder pain during bench this last week. So trying to get a little bit of a good stretch through the delt with that, and really leaning into that. And then with the hex push-ups, we did kind of a cattywampus setup for that, where I let the I guess you would say touch position, the hand position, to ride up a little closer to the neck, but also I tilted the dumbbells, one of them 40 degrees or 45 degrees, the other a little less, or yeah, a little less than that. So it was a little cattywampus, but we hit the shoulders pretty good, kind of not babying that shoulder that hurt the other day, but not stressing it out too much. Still getting a good stimulus, still getting a good stretch, and everything coming up Millhouse on that. Then we moved on to the incline dumbbell bench, or it's a weird superset. It's a superset where you superset the same movement with itself, but you add in a tempo after a certain number of reps. So it was a superset 4x20 plus 6. So we did 20 reps of just busting them out, not really worrying about the tempo, just doing them as fast as possible. I like to kind of get a really good pop and then make sure to stop the dumbbell, almost like I want to say catching a ball at its apex, or like prior to its apex. Like, press it off the chest so that you have enough momentum to lock it out, but stop it before lockout and pull it back down and initiate the next rep. It decreases the time under tension, but we're going to increase the time under tension with the supersetted movement, because the supersetted movement is a slow eccentric. There's a number there but I really was, when you've done 20 reps and you're just like, everything is on fire, the hypoxic response is blowing up my chest, my triceps, my forearms, everything is on fire. I just want to be done. That's when you kind of just, you see, yes, sir, there appears to be a tempo on this movement, but alas, counting is for plebeians. So we kind of just did slow eccentric, because that's about all of the mental aptitude that we could muster up mid-set. So it was a set of 20, busted out, with a set of 6, slow eccentric, done. Pass go, collect 200. Next movement we did was chest supported seesaw row, tempo, or zero acceleration. So I mean it's tempo, same speed up, same speed down, which is kind of easier to do when you're doing a seesaw, because you're not really thinking about it. You're just thinking click, 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 almost like a marching tap, where you're thinking right foot, right foot, right foot. Well, you got that tempo because you're not really thinking about the left, or you're thinking about one of the feet, and it's not both of the feet. So it's kind of, what was it, right foot or left foot? It's been so long since I was in marching band, but it's kind of like that when you're doing seesaw rows. We upped the weight this week. We usually do 50s on that, and then we upped the weight to 55s. And for some reason, that smacked us in the face today. So I guess that increase, we thought about doing it up to the 60s, because we've done it with 70s before, and that was atrocious. But we upped it to the 55s this week from the 50s. We thought about doing the 60s, and I'm glad we didn't do the 60s, because it would have been an absolute train wreck if we did it with the 60s, and it wouldn't have been good. Then we did curls. It's a 3x20, 30 seconds rest, which you don't have a lot of recovery time when you've only got 30 seconds of rest. So we did that. We got a pretty good pump by the last couple reps of that, because we were pretty strict with the eccentric, the descent on that movement, making sure that we were getting as much palm to the sky at the top, holding it pretty steady, and then carrying it slow, or letting the descent be pretty slow. We got a pretty good stimulus, and by the end I was finding that I wasn't able to turn my wrist as much, which is exactly, that's the perfect analogy, or not analogy, symptom that I'm hitting the right spots of the bicep with that movement. So we did that, and then one of the homies needed help. They had a 1 rep max, and it was a grinder from hell, basically, but they got it, and I'm like, hell yeah, super proud of you. And then they also needed help with boards, so intermittently sprinkled in between my next movement, the curls but heavier, 3 sets of 8, 2 minutes rest. We were helping them out too. So with the heavier curls, we upped the weight this week from what we've usually been in, because I remember last week I mentioned, hey, this one is getting a little too easy. We need to up the weight, which is weird because the lighter one is getting harder, and this and that. So I followed through with that. Oh man, I should have gone to the store. Anyways, I followed through with that and upped the weight with the dumbbell curls for the sets of 8. And I was finding I was having to brace my core a little more aggressively. And I was like, yes, we're getting to the fun part of training where we're lifting really hard, and we're at the point where it's hard to stay strict. This is exactly what you want in training, where you want to be as strict as possible, but you want it to be as hard as possible to be strict, and you want to overcome that boundary to develop the adaptation to the stimulus. So we got that going, and it was pretty good, and all the reps except for the last one were pretty. The last one of the 8th rep of the 3rd set was ugly, and I was like, I didn't like that, but that's exactly what we want. That means we had 2 sets where we were A-okay, we were good, and then that last set, we could have dropped the weight down a little bit, but mama didn't raise no pansy, so we didn't. But that's exactly where we wanted to be. It was supposed to be RPE 8. I guess we were close. I guess set 1 was 8, 9, and then 10. So I mean, there's that fatigue to or stimulus to fatigue ratio rearing its ugly head once again, because I mean, intraset accumulated fatigue is a thing that occurs, which, yeah, and especially I only had 2 minutes rest, and you need about 4 minutes to get fully rested whenever you're doing a movement. 4+ minutes, sometimes 5, sometimes 15 if you're doing a compound movement, and doing it on 2 minutes rest means we weren't fully recovered from the previous set going into the next set. So having only that last rep be not quite a grinder, but not, I can't really grind it because I just don't have the neural connection and muscle density in order to grind it. But that struggle, that grit to get through that last rep, even though it was an ugly rep, was exactly what we were going for with that stimulus. And the pump, I mean, it's hard to show you guys the pump because the lighting and the camera don't do it justice. And then I throw a filter on and it like kind of shows, it kind of doesn't. But we had the Mississippi River going up both of our arms. We had a little bit of a bicep vein, which didn't show on camera, which made me sad. But all in all, pretty good training day. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Tomorrow is going to be squats. But what we got for the rest of the day, we've got a meal to eat. We got our rice all prepped. We got I'm trying to mitigate the amount of time that I'm spending cooking and eating. So instead of heating up my food in a frying pan like I have been recently, I'm going to go and do the lazy route because I'm finding I'm spending way too much time cooking and eating. I'm going to go the lazy route, and I turned the car off and we're sitting in the sun and my eyes are getting full of sweat. So I'm going to get out of here real quick. So gonna microwave our chicken. Gonna eat the rice with the Himalayan pink salt and the mustard, and then we've got to probably I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do after that because I want to get some auditions out for ACX, the audiobook narration stuff that I do, and then I also want to do some Uber Eats today. But I also have to go to the store, so there's that. I'll probably we'll figure it out. I'll see you guys with my food. All right, boys, we've got 248 grams of chicken breast microwaved. Sad sounds. 402 grams of Calrose rice. Regular sounds. Some Himalayan pink salt for the mental health. I don't want to die because it makes it tastier. Some honey mustard. Diet Sunkist. That ibuprofen is not for me. And we're watching World Trigger. It's So, remember back in the day when you could tell a show was bad almost immediately? This is one of those where it's a modern, so it's really well produced. But it's also got some of those, hey, this is a bad show, where it's like, the plot's kind of... Like, if you've watched Seraph of the End, you're like, wow, this show bops. And then you're like, wait, there was no story in this whatsoever. This was actually pretty bad. And it's feeling like that. It's like, there's something going on. We're not going to tell you what's going on. And I feel like the show is going to end, and it's going to be like, nothing was going on. And you're just dissatisfied as a viewer. But I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go to the store, and then do some DoorDash. So, or not DoorDash, Uber Eats. DoorDash is stupid. If you look closely, real closely, you may be able to see the moment he has a thought. It hasn't happened yet. But if you're real patient, if you're really careful and quiet, you might see a thought appear behind those eyes. Just gotta be a little patient. Hey, bud. You wanna go do business? Wanna go outside? Hey, bud. Do you wanna go commit arson? Tax fraud? This guy. You want to do tax fraud? Want to go to a strip club? Do you want to beat up diabetic kids? Do you want to go steal candy from babies? Do you want to go steal candy from babies, bud? Huh, bud? Do you want to carjack handicapped people? Yeah? Hey, bud. Hey, bud, I bet you want someone's wheels from their wheelchair, don't you? Maybe steal a prosthetic leg or two. Yeah? Oh, those toe bean stretch. Toe bean stretch. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Let's go commit crimes. Let's go. Okay, he might be a little tired. So I got a couple pieces of news on the docket. So, while I was at the gym, I got basically a phone interview. So, I have a job in the works, and they keep telling me the different salaries that they're gonna pay me, but they're not saying that I'm hired or anything. So I don't know what to do about that. I don't have a start date or anything. So I'm just like, well, what's going on? And the hiring manager was looking at my resume, and he was like, oh, you narrate audiobooks for Amazon? And I was like, yeah. So just imagine you talking to a potential future boss and telling them the methods that you take in order to narrate a black smut novel. Yeah, so he thought it was very interesting, and whether or not I still have that job in the works is... hopefully it's still there. Well, they were like, well, we got the ball rolling still. Just giving you updates on how that is going. So, there's that. On a related note, the long audiobook, I say long, but it's like 9 hours long, not too long, project that I was working on a couple of weeks ago finally made its way through QA. It went through, the author actually went out of his way to listen to it chapter by chapter and like at speed, because usually when people listen to audiobooks it's at like 1.7 speed or double speed, so it's like super fast. So like I go through like 50-hour books in like 2 weeks because I'm listening at 1.75 times speed, which is pretty fast. And when I was in college, the last semester, most of the lessons were online, and what the teachers were like, they were like, oh my gosh, I can pre-record my lectures and post it for the students to watch in their free time. Definitely doing that. So obviously I watched those at double speed and then paused it whenever I needed to take notes, which was cool. I don't know if it took just as long or not as long, or we got through a bunch of fluff. But the book I can finally talk about. It's called Mr. Richard, I'm Ready. It's a noir romance novel. It's on Kindle Unlimited. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can check it out for free. But if you check it out on Audible, you get to hear me narrate it. And I narrate every single character. If you look at it on Kindle Unlimited, you'll notice it's written like a TV script. It's all character back and forth with like the occasional Richard and Mary walk to the other room, and there's like that occasionally. Minnie's mother says this, or no, he didn't say. Minnie's mother enters the room, like scene play like that. So it's very voice heavy, different voices for different characters, and I had a lot of fun doing that. So if you buy that, I actually get 40% of the profits if you do buy that, because we're set up on a royalty share. So go check that out, go support me, and I hope you enjoy the audiobook. And the last bit of good news that I acquired while I was taking a dump today was I got invited to Dave Tate's Table Talk sometime in August or September, and I'm really excited for that. I was invited last year, and we never got around to booking a date, which was a little odd, but hopefully this time it comes through and I'm able to head out there and be on the table talk. And I'm actually a little nervous for that because a lot of people go in there and it's like you get a lot of those profound clips like Dan Grigsby being like, yeah, you know, a lot of people come into this sport and they're saying it's like therapeutic and it's like their outward expression of how they hate the world, but like, I got a good life. I had a happy family growing up, and I don't hate everything. I just lift to lift because it's fun, like stuff like that. Or like you always see a bunch of clips, and like I'm a little nervous because I'm a little I don't want to say unhinged, but I have you guys have been watching this video. You know exactly how I'm like. It's not that professional, but also it is, but it isn't. Like, it isn't at all. And saying that it is gaslighting you guys into thinking that I'm an actual well-adjusted human, which I'm clearly not. So I'm a little nervous for that because it's like a one-on-one discussing things. But hopefully he's got a lot of stuff prepped for that. So I don't know. He's probably even seen these videos and is going to ask about it. Because I remember when Shane Haller was on the Table Talk, I did a podcast with Shane Haller and we had Pokemon battles in it. And yeah, so that was a thing. And Dave brought that up in the Table Talk. I don't know if it was edited out or anything. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I love being on them. They're super fun. Like I was on one. I don't remember the name of it. I know the name of the guy was Storied Strength. What's up, homie? Mason. And that was super fun. And like, I kind of go off the rails, and we started talking about lifting, and then like 60% of it was talking about books and plotting and stories and stuff like that. And that was super fun because, like, what percentage of your day is lifting and what percentage of your day is everything else? There's a discrepancy there. So you can only talk about lifting so much, especially in a professional setting. Or is it a professional setting like that? The Table Talk podcast is basically the powerlifting equivalent of the Joe Rogan podcast. So it'd be super cool to get on there and get that exposure, especially now that we're kind of putting effort into growing the brand and accumulating a community. So it'd be cool to invite lots of people into the community, into the chaos, as I've been calling it, because I'm a little bit of a chaos gremlin, a little goblin of chaos, teaching you guys how to lift with proper form, and then also reminding you that I slept with your mom. She's a good lay. She bought me dinner first too. We went to Red Robin, got a nice thick juicy hamburger, and we kept asking for more fries because they got unlimited fries. But like the homies, the waiter, he was like, yeah, I'll get you more fries, and then just never did. So like, your mom and I, we were a little disappointed. But we finished up and we got some milkshakes, and then we were still feeling a little bit of the sweet tooth. So we got some ice cream sandwiches too. Anyways, I just got to the store. I gotta pick up some groceries. I've not thought about what the groceries I have to get beef because I ran out of beef this morning. I gotta get milk, beef, cereal. What else do I need? I'll show you guys what I get. The haul. How many of you would have guessed that cost $95 worth of groceries? That was 7 pounds of 93.7 beef, 4 sets of bagels, 18 eggs, cream cheese, strawberry cream cheese, you know, because I like to mix it up a little bit. What's up? Crystal Light packets, Captain Crunch. I'm changing up the cereal this week because I'm a little sick of Fruity Pebbles. And I want to choose something that I know is good. unlike the Waffle Crunch, which I was using previously. And what else? 2 things of Fairlife fat-free milk, and that's about it. 95 bucks. Did y'all guess that in the comments? Yo soy Dora. I don't know any more Spanish than that. Shame on me. Panera is hospital food for rich people. Prove me wrong. So like I was waiting for an order at Panera, and there was an order of bread and mac and cheese just sitting there the entire time I'm waiting for this order. The pickup area was loaded. I was the last one to pick up, and when I picked up, no one was there, no one was left. At what point? Because you know, no one's picking that up, and Panera is just gonna toss that, right? At what point is it theft? You know, it's probably always theft, but at what point is it just like, you shouldn't, but we're not really gonna care if you do? It's almost like when you go to a Dunkin' and like no one checks anything. I've seen a joke that they've got a free food section at Dunkin' where it's just the mobile orders, and it's just people just steal that all the time, apparently. That's why I don't use that. No, that's not why I don't use that. I just don't trust technology, which is kind of ironic since I'm doing Uber Eats. Weird. Patty out. We did about 3.5 hours of Uber Eats because we got to a late start, and I gotta cook up a little bit of food so I can eat and get to bed on time. But we made about 75 bucks, which is about 25 bucks an hour. So now that I'm being pickier with the deliveries that I'm choosing, things are going better, and I'm happier with how today went. I did get stuck on Everett Turnpike for about an hour though today, which, I mean, even with that, 25 bucks an hour, it's good. But they were painting lines, and I got stuck behind the cop car that was just slowly moving along as they put the cones down. So I was like, dang it. But I'm gonna cook up some beef and get my last meal going. 220 grams of beef and 220 grams of a thief. Right, bud? I will not give it to you. Alright, so we've got 220 grams of beef, 93.7 beef, freshly cooked. We've got 400 grams of Calrose rice, and we've got some Himalayan pink salt for the red. The old person in me said razzle dazzle. The young person in me said Riz. Wonderful. And 70 grams of guacamole, because that's the fat of this meal. And also I have commandeered Buddy. He is my partner in crime today.